Incredible. Welcome to Managing Conflict. So, interesting thing about this is that I was in a situation that had conflict yesterday, and I did not do the three things that I'm going to teach today, and things actually did not go favorably. So, when an important thing to note is in order for the three techniques I'm going to share with you today to work, you have to use them. Go figure. So my name is Carla Caldwell. I am your Live Your Best Life coach. My background is in nursing, health, and communication. The funny thing about communication is I have been attending trainings and studying for the last 12 plus years and doing a lot of practicing. And it's one of those things that I feel like I'll be working on till the day I die. So I share that with you to say that it takes practice and commitment. The techniques I'm going to talk about today are super simple. So simple, they're hard. But the hard part is remembering to do them, like me yesterday. But luckily, the advice I do have to share is that when you do come across conflict, I want to highly, highly, highly recommend to get your mind right. So if you are feeling defensive or if you are feeling upset, that is not the time to utilize these three techniques. It is a good time to say, you know what, I want to address this, but let me take a moment and remove yourself so you can take a few deep breaths and adopt a curious mindset so that you can move forward. These three techniques, you can use them at home. You can use them at work. If you're in a healthcare setting, you can use them with patients. You can use them with students. They work in all situations, but I do want to say they do not work if it's a situation where you're not safe. That's not what these techniques are meant to address. These techniques are meant to address conflict that is workable and safe. If you're unsafe, then you need to get out of the situation. Okay, so here we go. Let's walk through a scenario. You encounter someone that is upset and they have brought upset to the table. And let's say for the sake of this example, most of it has nothing to do with you. So this person's very upset and you're on the receiving end. Okay, so before we try technique number one, we're going to take a deep breath. And we're going to adopt a curiosity mindset. We're going to adopt a curiosity mindset. We're not going to take personal what the conflict and the strong feelings, strong emotions, whether it's anxiety, anger, upset. We're not going to take that personally. So technique number one, we must validate. This one was tough for me to start using because I really don't like conflict, so I always want to run away. And number one is validate. Validate the feelings. Now, how do you do that? So if someone is coming up to you and saying, I'm really upset about this new regulation, I can't believe it, how blah, 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 then a way you might validate is say, I notice you're upset. So naming what you're seeing. You seem upset. Is that true? And then you'll probably get something like, yes, I'm very upset. So we validate right away. We validate that we're seeing an upset. And in that validation, one of the best ways to continue to validate is through reflection. So what this means is if someone's saying, I'm really upset that this change occurred, then you can simply reflect back, you're really upset that there's a change. Yes, I'm very upset and it's affecting X, Y, and Z. You're really upset because it's affecting X, Y, and Z. So step number one is validate. You name the upset. Instead of running away or ignoring it, ignoring doesn't help. Research shows the best way to have a better outcome when there is conflict is to validate and name it. So I notice you're upset. You're upset because of X, Y, and Z. Just simply reflect back what is being shared with you so that you can understand why someone is upset. Now, in my experience, this step alone usually diffuses the situation. It's really very powerful when someone gets validated and when they're not argued with and when you simply reflect back. Okay, so that's technique number one is you validate, you name the behavior, and you reflect back. And you can do that by a person saying, I'm really angry because of X, Y, and Z. You share back, you're really angry because of X, Y, and Z. Technique number two. You want to use that curious mindset and figure out what can be done, if anything can be done. So once you feel confident that you've really heard the person that's in conflict and you've reflected back and you understand what's happening, you can use step number two where you ask some open-ended questions like, what can be done? What would you like to happen? What would you like to happen is a good question. What can I do to make you feel better? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything you can do that would help this situation? So those are really great questions. What can be done? What would you like to see happen? What can I do? What could you do? Step number two is all about starting to identify what can be done, if anything can be done. Sometimes things can't be done. And really, all the person needs is to be heard and to be listened to. But a lot of times, the person might not know of a solution, so they kind of stay in that place where they want to think about it, or they might have a request that you might be able to do. If you can't, then you say that's out of my control, but I can do this. All right, technique number three. We want to express support and build confidence. So once we understand what can be done, if it's something that, if we've identified an action that the person can take or an action that we can take to help, then we want to create a plan. So we want to support by creating a plan. This includes if the person that was in conflict is sharing with me, I would feel better if I had this information. And if I have it in my power, I can start making a plan with this person of, I understand you need this information. I can get it to you right now or tomorrow. Or if step number three is just all about expressing support and building a plan for the steps that were identified in technique number two. Really important for this is if you are going to follow up in any way, shape, or form, make sure you honor your word and make sure that the expectations are clear. And you can do that by saying, my understanding is that I will be doing this for you, or I will be following up with you tomorrow. Is that your understanding? Always making sure that both parties are on the same page, and then honoring your word is critical in this moment. So let me recap these three steps. 3 steps when we encounter conflict that's manageable, safe, right, is 1, validate. Make sure that you name, instead of ignoring, we say, I notice you're upset, or you seem upset. And we also validate through reflection. So as the person starts sharing why they're upset or why they're having these challenging emotions, just reflecting back. You're upset because you were expecting this and you didn't get it. You are angry because this change occurred. I'm just making things up that might be said. So step number 1 is validating, and you can name what is happening and then use reflection. If you're not sure what to say, just simply repeat what the person is saying, and make sure you understand. So number 2, be very curious and identify what can be done. And that happens through asking questions like, what would you like to see happen? What would make you feel better? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything you can do? We're just wanting to identify if there are any possible action steps. And sometimes there aren't. And if you find there aren't, then sometimes it is enough that you just listened, validated, and reflected back. But if action items are identified, then step number 3 is we're going to express support and build confidence by creating a plan for those action items to occur. So if it's something that you're able to help with, naming when you can do it and how, or if it's something they named they could do, asking questions like, how can I support you to get this done? Is there anything you need in order to be able to do what you said you need to do? And in this step, definite follow-up is created. And if you have agreed to follow up to something, remember to honor your word and to be very clear. Closed-looped communication is critical here, where you share, my understanding is that I will follow up with you tomorrow. Is that your understanding? Or my understanding is that you will do X, Y, and Z. Is that correct? Okay, so that's it. Those are the 3. Now, will you let me know in the comments, 1, was this helpful? If you have any questions, do you have any questions about anything I said, or, what do you do in this type of situation? Let me know in the comments. And also, would it be helpful if I put this in writing? I did that last week. I put it in writing, how to motivate change, and I got a lot of feedback that was helpful. All right. I am really grateful to those of you who have tuned in now or tune in the future. And I definitely look forward to hearing back how, if this was helpful or how it could be even more helpful. And I really wish you nothing but the best. I hope the next time you encounter conflict, you'll take a deep breath, you'll put on your curiosity hat, and you will validate, help identify action items, and build confidence by creating a follow-up plan. Paula, I'm happy to put it in writing. So just actually, I'll tag you. I'll tag you on my newsletter post. Wonderful. I'm so glad it was helpful to you, Paula. I hope you'll let me know what arena you work in, what your discipline is, if you're in business or work in healthcare, if you teach, let me know what you do. And thank you so much for tuning in. If this was helpful, please like and share, everyone, and have an amazing day. Thank you.